We are following breaking news out of Minneapolis. Multiple law enforcement agencies are responding to reports of an active shooter at Annunciation Church in south central Minneapolis. Governor Tim Walz posted on social media just moments ago that he's been briefed on the shooting and that both the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension and State Patrol are on the scene. We're also hearing reports that the ATF and FBI are responding too. Let's bring in ABC News investigative reporter Olivia Rubin. Olivia, what do we know so far?
Well, not very much at this hour, Diane. Like you said, the governor there just confirming that there is a shooting going on, what he calls a horrific act of violence at this school. I would also point out that the governor says that this is a young Catholic school. Just looking up information at the school right now, it says it's a preschool to 8th grade lower school, which is, again, just horrific. I would also point out that they're saying that this is really the first week of school. This is when kids are going back. As you said, we know there's also a large federal response going on right now. The FBI responding, ATF responding. We don't know anything more than the fact that this incident has unfolded. It's way too early to be talking about numbers. If people are injured, if people have been killed, way too early. We don't have information on that, but just from the picture you're seeing on your screen right now, you can tell that this is sort of all hands on deck right now.
What do we know about the area, Olivia?
You know, we're looking into the area right now. As I said, this is a small Catholic school, just by information on its website. I would also point out, though, just as you know, we've all been working this summer, we've seen some incidents of violence both at schools and in Minnesota itself. Remember a few weeks ago when we were all dealing with the horrific shootings of lawmakers in Minnesota. Remember just again a week or so ago we were dealing with an incident at Emory University, a hoax incident at Villanova. We find ourselves dealing with these incidents over and over and over again, and we've been talking about it for years, but it's quite striking how frequently we find ourselves back in this position. Again, as the governor's pointing out, the first week that kids are going back to school right now, Diane.
The FBI also now says that it's aware of the reports coming out of their Minneapolis office that agents are on the scene or on their way to the scene. What happens at this point in an investigation and as this first wave of response?
Well, this is pretty standard, right? The FBI is essentially always going to respond in incidents like this. We always hear that the FBI is responding. We always hear that ATF is responding. Certainly, you'd think that depending on the severity here, it could be the state that ends up taking control. It could be the feds that end up taking control. Certainly, we have to wait to find out more information exactly what is going on here, because again, what the first reports certainly never end up being the last reports. It takes quite a bit of time for these events to unfold and to hear exactly what's going on. I would expect that there's going to be some sort of briefing soon so officials can update people on exactly what is going on here. But of course, their first and foremost responsibility is going to be securing the safety of whoever is at this school where this incident is going on and making sure that what's going on the ground is safe first and foremost.
Absolutely. And I want to bring in ABC contributor, former FBI agent Richard Frankel. Richard, what's your reaction when you hear something like this?
It's almost now becoming a rite of passage in the school year. It's happening all the time. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be responding. We shouldn't be stopping it. We shouldn't be doing the investigation. We've, as you said earlier, we've had some swatting incidents at universities in the last few days. And that may cause people to think, the shootings, this is fake, this isn't happening, we shouldn't, be prepared for it. That is exactly the opposite response we should have. We should always be prepared for something like this because it has become so frequent throughout the United States. As we've heard, the FBI is on the way. Local law enforcement, first responders are there on the scene. They're going to take control of that scene. They're going to identify the shooter, and then they're going to begin that investigation. But they've got, what we have to make sure of is that we don't become complacent with these investigations.
Richard, what do you make of the timing of this, the first week of school?
Yeah, right now we don't know who the shooter is. So could it be another student who has had an emotional incident, and that's why this has happened? Is it somebody from who had been in the school in prior years, or is it just a third party that wants to cause havoc and terror? We just don't know yet. But the beginning of the school year gets them the most coverage, so to speak, in that everyone is there. No one has settled into their established programs yet, so there's still a lot of potential chaos going on, which may make it easier for somebody to go into a school and do the shooting and potentially get away if that is their intent. Again, we don't know if the shooter has been caught, the shooter is still on property, if the shooter has in fact committed suicide. We just don't have enough yet.
And for anyone just joining us, we are following this breaking news out of Minneapolis. Law enforcement is responding to reports of an active shooter at Annunciation Catholic School there in Minneapolis. The governor, Tim Walz, has confirmed that he's been briefed on a shooting there and that he will provide updates as we get information. Our investigative reporter, Olivia Rubin, is following the latest. Olivia, I know information is really limited right now. What do we know so far?
Really what you just listed out, which is that Tim Walz saying that there was this shooting and he named a specific school where this is happening. It's a young Catholic school. So, of course, when you hear a shooting at a school, you're worried about injuries for children, you're worried about injuries for teachers. As you know, your guest was just saying, this is something that people have become accustomed to over and over and over again, but it does not make it any more or any less prevalent. I would also point out that we know there's a large federal response going on right now. FBI has said that they are en route. The ATF is also responding. I'm sure it's not long until more parties are involved. Just by looking at the scene out there, you can tell, again, that this is an all-hands-on-deck situation, but officials haven't given any indication of exactly what's going on, if there are injured, if there is anyone, unfortunately, killed in this situation. That's why I think, it's so important to take it so slow and steady when you're in these situations and waiting to see what unfolds. I do think officials will be giving a briefing soon because they've now put out this information from the governor that there's a shooting going on. They've named a specific school. Parents are going to be seeing that. I'm sure parents are already on the way to that school. But again, what they have to do first is make sure that the shooter is, handled and is contained and is potentially neutralized, and that all of the kids are safe there before they can give any information to the public.
And Dan Bongino, the United States Deputy Director of the FBI, just tweeted about this incident. He says the FBI is aware of the reports coming out of FBI Minneapolis, and our agents are en route to the scene. We will provide more updates as able.